Dadabhai Naoroji, September 4, 1825, June 30, 1917, known as the Grand Old Man of India, was a Parsi intellectual, educator, cotton trader, and an early Indian political and social leader. He was a Liberal Party Member of Parliament, MP, in the United Kingdom House of Commons between 1892 and 1895, and the first Asian to be a British MP, if one does not count the Anglo-Indian MP David Ochterlony Dyce Sombre. Naoroji is also credited with the founding of the Indian National Congress, along with A.O. Hume and Dinshaw Edulji Wacha. His book Poverty and On British Rule in India brought attention to the draining of India's wealth into Britain. He was also member of the Second International along with Kautsky and Plekhanov. Early life: Naoroji was born in Mumbai in a Gujarati-speaking Parsi family and educated at the Elphinstone Institute School. He was patronized by Maharaja of Baroda Sayajirao Gugwad III and started his public life as the Dewan, minister, to the Maharaja in 1874. Being an Authornan, ordained priest, Naoroji founded the Ranumi Mazdayasan Sabha, Guides on the Mazdayasan Path, on August 1, 1851 to restore the Zoroastrian religion to its original purity and simplicity. In 1854, he also founded a Gujarati fortnightly publication, the Rastgaftar, or the Truth Teller, to clarify Zoroastrian concepts and promote Parsi social reforms. In 1855, he was appointed Professor of Mathematics and Natural Philosophy at the Elphinstone College in Bombay, becoming the first Indian to hold such an academic position. He travelled to London in 1855 to become a partner in Comma & Co., opening a Liverpool location for the first Indian company to be established in Britain. Within 3 years, he had resigned on ethical grounds. In 1859, he established his own cotton trading company, Dadabhai Naoroji and Company. Later, he became Professor of Gujarati at University College London. In 1867 Naoroji helped to establish the East India Association, one of the predecessor organizations of the Indian National Congress, with the aim of putting across the Indian point of view before the British public. The association was instrumental in counteracting the propaganda by the Ethnological Society of London, which, in its session in 1866, had tried to prove the inferiority of the Asians to the Europeans. This association soon won the support of eminent Englishmen and was able to exercise considerable influence in the British Parliament. In 1874, he became Prime Minister of Baroda and was a member of the Legislative Council of Mumbai, 1885–88. He was also a member of the Indian National Association founded by Sir Surendranath Banerjee from Calcutta a few years before the founding of the Indian National Congress in Bombay, with the same objectives and practices. The two groups later merged into the Incorporated, and Naoroji was elected President of the Congress in 1886. Naoroji published Poverty and Un-British Rule in India in 1901. Naoroji moved to Britain once again and continued his political involvement. Elected for the Liberal Party in Finsbury Central at the 1892 general election, he was the first British Indian MP. He refused to take the oath on the Bible as he was not a Christian, but was allowed to take the oath of office in the name of God on his copy of Cor Davista. In Parliament, he spoke on Irish Home Rule and the condition of the Indian people. In his political campaign and duties as an MP, he was assisted by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the future Muslim nationalist and founder of Pakistan. In 1906, Naoroji was again elected President of the Indian National Congress. Naoroji was a staunch moderate within the Congress, during the phase when opinion in the party was split between the moderates and extremists. Naoroji was a mentor to Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Mohandas Ramchand Gandhi. He was married to Gulbai at the age of 11. He died in Bombay on June 30, 1917, at the age of 91. Today the Dadabhai Naoroji Road, a heritage road of Mumbai, is named after him. Also, the Dadabhai Naoroji Road in Karachi, Pakistan is also named after him, as well as Naoroji Street in the Finsbury area of London. A prominent residential colony for central government servants in the south of Delhi is also named Naoroji Nagar. His granddaughter Khurshidban was also involved in the freedom struggle. In 1930, she was arrested along with other revolutionaries for attempting to hoist the Indian flag in a government college in Ahmedabad. Drain theory and poverty. Dadabhai Naoroji's work focused on the drain of wealth from India into England through colonial rule. One of the reasons that the drain theory is attributed to Naoroji is his decision to estimate the net national profit of India, and by extension, the effects that colonization has on the country. Through his work with economics, Naoroji sought to prove that Britain was draining money out of India. Naoroji described 6 factors which resulted in the external drain. Firstly, India is governed by a foreign government. Secondly, India does not attract immigrants which bring labor and capital for economic growth. Thirdly, India pays for Britain's civil administrations and occupational army. Fourthly, India bears the burden of empire building in and out of its borders. Fifthly, opening the country to free trade was actually a way to exploit India by offering highly paid jobs to foreign personnel. Lastly, the principal income earners would buy outside of India or leave with the money, as they were mostly foreign personnel. In Naoroji's book Poverty, he estimated a £200 to £300 million loss of revenue to Britain that is not returned. Naoroji described this as vampirism, with money being a metaphor for blood, which humanized India and attempted to show Britain's actions as monstrous in an attempt to garner sympathy for the nationalist movement. When referring to the drain, Naoroji stated that he believed some tribute was necessary as payment for the services that England brought to India, such as the railways. However, the money from these services were being drained out of India. For instance, the money being earned by the railways did not belong to India, which supported his assessment that India was giving too much to Britain. India was paying tribute for something that was not bringing profit to the country directly. Instead of paying off foreign investment which other countries did, India was paying for services rendered despite the operation of the railway being already profitable for Britain. This type of drain was experienced in different ways as well. For instance, British workers earning wages that were not equal with the work that they have done in India, or trade that undervalued India's goods and overvalued outside goods. Englishmen were encouraged to take on high-paying jobs in India, and the British government allowed them to take a portion of their income back to Britain. Furthermore, the East India Company was purchasing Indian goods with money drained from India to export to Britain, which was a way that the opening up of free trade allowed India to be exploited. When elected to Parliament by a narrow margin of 3 votes, his first speech was about questioning Britain's role in India. Naoroji explained that Indians were either British subjects or British slaves, depending on how willing Britain was to give India the institutions that Britain already operated. By giving these institutions to India, it would allow India to govern itself, and as a result the revenue would stay in India. It is because Naoroji identified himself as an imperial citizen that he was able to address the economic hardships facing India to an English audience. By presenting himself as an imperial citizen, he was able to use rhetoric to show the benefit to Britain that an ease of financial burden on India would have. He argued that by allowing the money earned in India to stay in India, tributes would be willingly and easily paid without fear of poverty. He argued that this could be done by giving equal employment opportunities to Indian professionals who consistently took jobs they were overqualified for. Indian labor would be more likely to spend their income within India, preventing one aspect of the drain. Naoroji believed that to solve the problem of the drain it was important to allow India to develop industries. This would not be possible without the revenue draining from India into England. It was also important to examine British and Indian trade to prevent the end of budding industries due to unfair valuing of goods and services. By allowing industry to grow in India, tribute could be paid to Britain in the form of taxation and the increase in interest for British goods in India. Over time, Naoroji became more extreme in his comments as he began to lose patience with Britain. This was shown in his comments, which became increasingly aggressive. Naoroji showed how the ideologies of Britain conflicted when asking them if they would allow French youth to occupy all the lucrative posts in England. He also brought up the way that Britain objected to the drain of wealth to the papacy during the 16th century. Naoroji's work on the drain theory was the main reason behind the creation of the Royal Commission on Indian Expenditure in 1896, in which he was also a member. This commission reviewed financial burdens on India and in some cases came to the conclusion that those burdens were misplaced.